And I'm calling the meeting to order at 3:33 on whatever day this is, February 11th, 2020.
Got it.
Okay. So, thank you all for coming. We have Karen Pollitt, Dave Pollitt, Susan Marks is visiting from the Bicentennial as the representative from the Bicentennial Committee. We have Sharon and Alan Bixler, we have Sue Ann Shore, we have Jim Long, and we have Terry Gaffney. And we have a quorum because Rob Hewlick is on the phone right there. So let's take a look at the minutes quickly. If there's any corrections or anything, let us know. Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes of the last meeting.
I move that we accept the minutes.
A motion to accept the minutes put forth by Sue Ann Shore. A second.
Second.
Sharon Bixler. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Okay. Just taking a look at the agenda. I'm going to take my chairman's moment. Let's see here. Karen and I did go around to some of the cemeteries in town yesterday, and we looked at to see what kind of damage they're suffering over the winter. The only one that really seemed like it hit hard was Nerone River Graveyard. Had a lot of limbs down and some bigger branches down and stuff down. I took a lot of photographs. I sent them to Tracy Root, and she informed me that she would be sending them up to the First Selectman's office for hiring. So Loren is here. So that's what we know. Come on up.
Can he hear?
Yeah.
I'll
Right
see
here,
if
come on.
that's-
Join us.
Let's see.
Loren Gomez has just come in, so now we have 9.
Oh, boy.
So anyway, as far as the cemeteries go, we went over to Leeds. Leeds was not in bad shape at all, just leaves and things like that. We also went by a couple of the other ones, and they're not showing any real wear. So the one that's most important is the Nerone River Graveyard, and hopefully maybe Department of Public Works can get over there and just pull that stuff out of there and get rid of it.
Have they fixed the broken stones up for the, the
Yeah.
ceremony? Or has that been done?
My understanding, and I did not go into Slauson Cemetery,
Yeah.
but my understanding is that Andrew Malolo did pick up the stone. I gave him permission to do so.
Yep.
They took the stone off the property, and what they'll do is they'll bond it to the base, and then when the weather breaks, they'll put it back
Put it back in.
intact. That's what I understand is happening, and maybe Sue knows more about that, I don't know, but if not, that's okay. All right, so discussion of candidates for Grand Marshal and Speaker for Memorial Day 2020. I have one idea. I've only gotten one name for either of these two positions from the group, but I got another name that was called in directly to me. So I have 2 candidates for Grand Marshal, and I have no one, but I do have somebody in mind for Speaker. But we could use, hello Alan Miller has just entered. I could use more suggestions for both positions because at next meeting I would like to make a decision. I'm not going to discuss names at this point. I will circulate them around privately to us so we can look at them and you can make your comments all back, and then we'll go from there. Both of the Grand Marshal candidates that I have received so far are Marines, okay? Go Marines. And the speaker that I have in mind is a Navy guy, but we'll wait. But please, think of anybody, pop the name into Karen so that we can get it on the list and we can circulate it. And we can talk about it at the next meeting and make a decision because you want to do this right away.
How we want to do it now?
What?
I mean, do we have names?
We have 2 names. We have this one, and then we have the other one that I have. I just didn't want to mention
Oh, I
either of
wouldn't
them.
I don't want to mention
Okay,
them
so
either.
I'd rather not do it, yeah. So let's do it at the next meeting. Let's make it.
Let's just give
Yeah.
each name you get a number or a letter, A, B,
Yes,
C, D.
that's-
Yeah, we'll do it at the next meeting, okay?
In March?
And the same thing for speaker, okay? We'll do it in March. Okay, let's take a look at the Memorial Day ceremony overview and preparedness. But before we do that, I'm going to give the people from the Bicentennial Committee just a chance to say anything they have to say, or anything they want to contribute, because then if they want to leave, that's okay.
Okay, I do have something to say.
I'm not one of those kind of guys, you know what I mean? I'm just one of those kind of guys.
Thank you very much.
All right.
And I'm sorry I'm late. So the Bicentennial Committee has received the donated cake, celebratory birthday cake.
Right.
It's about 10 feet tall. It's a 3-layer cake. It's a float, obviously.
Right.
not a real
It's on
cake.
wheels.
Yes.
It's on wheels, it's on casters. We got it from a small town in Connecticut that had a bicentennial last year. And we'd like to have it in the Memorial Day parade. I just want to make sure if it's appropriate. It's, it'll have banners wrapping around it. It's a 3-layer cake, it's 10 feet tall, and then it's 2 extra feet with 200 on it. What they did in this town, they kind of dressed up as bakers with, totes and hold it. It's on casters, so we'd like to do something similar. Maybe not dress up, but certainly bring it to the Memorial Day
Well,
parade.
it'll fit under the,
Viaduct, yeah, we'll make sure it fits under the viaduct. Double check that.
That would
We'll get pontoons on it,
10
yeah.
feet tall, yeah.
If,
So anyway, if that's appropriate or acceptable, we'd like
it's,
to.
I think it's very appropriate, and if by any chance it does not fit under the viaduct, we'll just make arrangements to have it parked
Okay.
on the south side of the trestle.
Well, that'd be perfect.
And join the parade there.
That'd be great.
My own personal feeling is it should be almost immediately after the honor guard and the National Guard at the front of the parade.
Yeah, right up
just to
front.
set up-
I agree.
set
Yeah,
the
I mean,
tone.
here's what I had suggested at one point to someone about that. I know it's a birthday cake, so you say, well, what's the connection to Memorial Day? Well, then it should be that the people of, the citizens of Darien honor those who in the last 200 years, okay, have blah, 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 whatever, you know what I'm talking about?
Absolutely,
Something that
of
relates
course.
back to
Yeah,
Memorial
yeah,
Day,
yeah.
that have fought for our, freedoms and stuff and such.
well, Thaddeus.
And that's, and there's your connection,
That is
then it
Melrose
ties in,
Revolutionary War Hero.
okay? Then it
No,
ties in and it's
you know
above criticism.
Junior, it's Thaddeus Junior.
Yeah,
Thank you very much for.
Right.
I'm pretty sure, I mean, check, but I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure.
Good, okay, so I'll tell, we got a committee meeting tomorrow.
What date are you using as the official incorporation date of?
June 12th.
June 12th, okay.
Just
Because
Friday.
they erroneously put May 20th, 1820 on the plaque
It's on the plaque.
that's on Rings End Bridge,
May 20th.
back when they did the 150th anniversary. They used
Yeah.
May 20th. They said it was incorporated May 20th, 1820.
According to Mr. Reese.
Yes, that's right.
I'd rely on Ken.
Hmm?
I would rely on Ken.
So would I. Yeah, I'm just saying, all right.
June 12th.
Alan, just let me know who the contact person is. Is it you?
Yeah,
Okay. Because you'll get a lot of information
oh,
from
great, okay.
my official Memorial Day Parade email address. Now, all that information goes through an official address.
Okay, excellent.
And, Sue, did you have anything you want to
No,
add?
I was just here.
Okay, all right. Is that it?
That's all.
Hey, that's a good thing, all right?
Happy
So
to
that's
have
great.
it.
So I'm glad to have
You and
that.
the cake.
It's fantastic. I'm glad we got it. That was a real coup.
Yes, I
Uh,
thought that was great when I heard we had that.
I'll mention a couple of other things in the chairman's moment now, okay? As I was mentioning to Terry and a couple of the others before, someone that came forward with a find a grave request for the 2,184 that are buried in the Spring Grove Veterans Cemetery. So they asked me if I knew where a certain soldier was buried, and I said, no. Thank you, guys. And I said, but I'll find out. And so I called the state VA, and the contact up there, Tammy Marsick, is wonderful. And a couple of weeks later, I get in the mail, in my email, the complete list of all 2,184 listed alphabetically according to last name. Also a grid map that tells you where to find them. So I tried it out, and I went and found this person's find a grave person, and it was right there. So that's fantastic. So I asked Karen Dunn in the office if they would want it, naturally. And they said, yeah. I said, why don't you put it up with a link or the whole thing up on our website? Because then people can use it as a tool.
Right.
All right, and they also gave it to guys from the Middlesex Genealogical Society, And anybody else who wants me to forward it.
Historical Society. too.
Historical Society. So anybody else who wants their own copy of it, just for their own research and stuff, just hit me with an email and I'll send it to you. But it was really nice to get that. So it's a nice tool. It was not our responsibility, that cemetery, but people ask about it because it's in our town. So you may as well have something.
They didn't include any foreign soldiers though, right?
Oh my gosh, they're all there.
Yeah.
There are
They're-
two
they're on that
rows.
list
If you
too?
go.
Good. I mean, I was
behind-
wondering if they were on the list.
There are
I've seen
two
them in the
rows
cemetery.
Where every person is from a different
Yeah,
country.
right.
And every person in different army, Polish, Italian, British, Canadian, and it goes on, in different wars and different conflicts, to the point where in that particular row, you have people who fought in the border conflict with Mexico in 1916, and you have people from World War I, and you have people from the Spanish-American War and World War II on the same row. Okay, they bury them by date, okay, but there are some overlaps, all right, on the ends. But it's a really interesting place. So, whatever. Now we have a resource.
Good.
Terry informed me that he had a copy of it from before, but I have a digital copy of it, and anybody who wants a digital copy, see me.
And 65 pages, so we didn't print it.
Yeah, I didn't print it out.
That's
We
a good
didn't
idea.
go out in our packet today, all
No,
right?
I didn't put it
fair
in the
enough.
packet.
Okay, I'm gonna defer to Terry for a few minutes on anything that has to do with the parade.
Okay. At this point, it's just easy preparation. Linda O'Leary is already in high gear. The negotiations with Goodwife Shopping Center for the parade shape area has all been set up. The application has been made for the insurance. The application has been made for the flyover already. I've contacted Darien Library and Darien Technology Foundation about broadcast of the parade, and they're on board. I let them know that we're interested in having a second cable link up so that we can live stream the ceremony in the cemetery afterward. Alan indicated that he'd be happy to work on it. It doesn't mean he can do it yet,
Right.
but he's going to look into it. I contacted the police department to let them know that was our plan, and did we need any special permit from either them or the Department of Public Works to run a cable across Hecker Avenue. In my naivete, I don't know that we would need permission from the state to run the cable in, but we may, so I will contact them as well, just to let them know. Once I know if it's feasible, that's our plan, to run it just on the concrete strip going in. It will not transect any grassy area.
Okay. Anything else?
That's the big picture stuff. All the other stuff is just minutia, but everything on the hit list that has a timeline has been done. I would like to officially get the names of those who are going to volunteer for the day before, the night before, to put up the signage, and day of to be down in the shape area. Okay.
Jim, Sharon? I thought that was just like a reflex action. It just went up, you know,
Jim and
and
Sharon.
Sharon.
Even though I didn't see
And
a lung
Alan.
go up, I saw it
Yeah.
go up.
He's up.
You didn't have to.
He has no
You
choice.
And Alan.
Okay.
Ideally, based on both last year's situations and one of the darts that Biddle Properties put up was, how do we ensure that nobody parks there? And I answered them, rest assured, we are vigilant that nobody who's not shopping is parking there. But we had a few issues last year with people who don't know what barricades are for. So we would like at
Well, they're
least
for
2
other
more
people.
humans, yeah.
Yeah, you need, and just make it clear. You wrote a really nice memo last year that pretty much spelled it out in black, red,
English as a-
black, red, and white.
But
okay?
English as a first language is a challenge for some
Yeah,
people.
okay, so, but I think that should go, that should be publicized in the paper along with the parade route and everything else, probably maybe even by itself one more time, because otherwise, you're right. They just ignore it. In reference to
And
the
also-
state,
Also about, I'm sorry, but also about throwing objects, we have to emphasize that too, because
Right.
that happened last year.
Something else that happened, unfortunately, I wasn't there because of my knee operation, but I think that after parade, because beforehand, everybody sets up everything's really very smoothly and stuff like that, and by the time that when we leave the Goodway Shopping Center, everything's down, everything's put away, everything's all done.
Right.
But what happened last year, I think that everyone should stay until the bunning's all down, until the speaker
with
thing.
you.
Everything should be down and put away before everybody takes off.
yeah, I'll address the bunting today, but that's another whole thing. Yeah. And I think you're right.
The reason is a lot of them went to a party at the VFW.
Yeah, because
Then they came
just
back.
because it's over doesn't mean it's over and you can all run away. When we put it up, we have to take it down. So if we put up the signs in the parking lot, we have to take them down. And really what we do is people also try to pick up the debris and stuff and everything else they left behind and
Yeah,
throw it in.
Alan
Yeah,
brought home
and
all
Alan
kinds
did
of
that,
stuff
yeah.
yesterday,
Last year, you assigned one person, and that was me. So after the parade, or after everybody left, I took everything down. So that works if you have one person to do it.
And then the bunting, of course, we put the bunting up at 7:30 or 8 o'clock in the cemetery, and then it's got to come down after that. It doesn't just disappear by itself. But I'll address that when I do my other remarks. Look at the back of your packet. We have State Veteran Cemetery Rules and Regulations. I was busy letting my fingers glide across the keyboards, and I wanted to find out what their rules and regulations were for the cemetery because I had a couple of questions. So this two-page thing, front and back, was adopted January 3rd, 2020, and it pretty much tells you everything that there should be common sense. Understand that this refers to, when they refer to cemetery, they're referring to 3 cemeteries, the one in Rocky Hill, the one in Middletown, and the one in Spring Grove. And the key points on this are on the back page, all right? So if you look at the back page, you have additional provisions. And the first one refers to the Reach Across America program, which is not one of our programs, but does take place in a cemetery. There, my friends, is the release by the state for them to use that. And the second one is the real key thing. We're always looking for the time when they're going to come down here and put the flags in. Cemetery staff and volunteers will place American flags on each gravesite the Saturday before Memorial Day and before Veterans Day each year, and will remove the flags the following Saturday. No other flags aside from those placed by cemetery staff are permitted. That's the key to let us know when they're going to put the stuff on. Now, if they read their own memo, everything works out fine. Right? So I just wanted to include that in there. That was just informative for us. I also gave a copy of this to Karen Dunn in the Selectman's office, so she can put that up on our website. So, Terry, anything else?
At this
Okay.
point, no.
All right, good. Thank you very much for all you do. You've got it pretty well organized. I'm going to try
Thank you
to...
for volunteering,
Yes, exactly.
Again.
again.
Again and again.
And again.
I'm going to cut to Memorial Day ceremony overview and preparedness. And Terry had given us a whole bunch of information last meeting over the phone when he was contributing from the outside. It was pretty much soup and nuts all the way down the line what he does in order to run the parade. This is going to be the same deal for the ceremony. Why am I doing this? Okay, look, you know my time here is limited, all right, and on this commission, and so is Karen. Someone will have to do the cemetery ceremony this year. I don't know who that will be. I'm hoping that someone from the group steps up. If not, there are other people that can do it, but I want anybody to be able to take this and pretty much know what they have to do. So this refers to, there's 4 pages of writing, okay, but it refers to, in many cases, the next thing that comes in your packet, which is the program. All right, now that's the program that I came up with. There have been different variations of this over the year. The back part is pretty much the same every year. The front part changes by including different people in it. So somebody has to come up with a program, and if you follow this, it pretty much shows you the order of procedure for the program in a cemetery, but there's a lot of other parts. So let's look at number 1 on Memorial Day cemetery ceremony preparations. Choose a grand marshal and a speaker. Once you've done that, you have to get their bios for use in publicity. That must include or should include a photograph. Sometimes they choose to use a photograph of when they were young, and when they were in uniform or whatever, that's fine, okay? Be sure to check the accuracy of the information you write with each person before submitting anything for publication. Prior to the event, secure the sash for the Grand Marshal from the storage area in the Town Hall basement. Now, let me just mention, this is something that goes with the parade. Obviously, the sash is given to the Grand Marshal at the parade site, parade staging site. Downstairs in the Town Hall, on one side, there's a room where we have stored all of our materials. I have all the cemetery materials in there now. I took them out of my garage. They're all there. I have an inventory of them. And we have all the bunting, all the flags that we own, any materials that we have, including the sashes for the Grand Marshal. Sashes in 3 parts. It's a sash that says Grand Marshal. There's a rosette that gets pinned to it, and there's a little decal or a little sticker that goes on it, which is that seal. And that goes on there. And that gets put together, and that gets out of the town hall by the Friday before the weekend. All right? So, prior to the event, secure the sash. Attach the rosette and the seal of the town of Darien the same. Have it available for the parade chairman on Memorial Day. Be sure to check on the ability of the Grand Marshal to walk in the parade as a vehicle may be necessary. It must be obtained by the parade chairman. The second part, and this is in no particular order, you'll find out that I jump around here, but ask a local clergyman to do the invocation and benediction, and be sure he or she is kept aware of that at the time. It is not necessary for the clergyman to march in the parade, nor is it necessary for the speaker to march in the parade, but it's always optional if they want to do so. I've had Monsignor Sawillo do this for me the last few years. He's a Darien native, and he's been more than willing to do so, and he's been around, but whoever's in charge of the ceremony really is going to select who they would like to have be their clergyman for that day. Notify Parks and Recreation to have the cemetery platform installed prior to the ceremony. I believe it's Park and Rec, yeah. This also includes a reviewing stand on the post road in front of Nielsen's Florist. Now, there has been some suggestion over the last year or so of whether to move that reviewing stand further down. I don't know whether that's feasible or not, because you'd have to get permissions from a library in front of the post road, or on the post road. I think it's okay where it is. The only difference is that the selectmen and stuff like to walk to the end of the route, and then they come back to the reviewing stand. Okay, so that could be handled in 5 minutes if you decide to do it that way. Contact Chris Andrade, very key person. He's the choir director at the high school, to secure the tutor singers who will provide musical selections such as National Anthem and America the Beautiful. Chris also supplies the sound system for the event. He is paid for this from our program budget to get the sound system. Contact the scouts through volunteers from the commission. Sue has been one of them, and there have been others to secure a scout to read the Gettysburg Address and one to read General Logan's order. And it's been historically done that General Logan's order has been done by a Boy Scout, and the Gettysburg Address is done by a Girl Scout. I have really no attachment to that arrangement staying that way. If they want, if the scouts want to switch it.
I thought we used to switch it.
Do you switch
every
it?
year.
Okay, but
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
We switch it every year.
if you want to switch it last year,
Since
you know,
I've switched in a long time. But
it's up to the scout. It's up to whoever selects those people. Scouts will also be needed to act as an honor guard at the reviewing stand and at the cemetery platform. And you don't need 50, you need 1 or 2, at each one. You need 1 at each flag on the platform, and there should be a chair for them because it gets hot. Be sure the bell, you can tell where I made a mistake on this, because see it says 6A. That means that I had a 6, and then I forgot something I had to put in there. 6A, be sure the bell from the Norotan Heights Fire Department has been requested, and you are assured it will be delivered to the ceremony site and then picked up at the conclusion of a ceremony by the Norotan Heights Fire Department. Assign a commission member to ring the bell 3 times after each group of war dead is read. We go by wars, so after each one, you ring it 3 times as a sign of honor. 6B, the lectern used for the ceremony is borrowed from the VFW. Be sure someone has the responsibility of picking up and returning the lectern on Memorial Day. Number 7, contact Springdale florist, Mickey Doyle, in advance for the ceremonial wreath he always supplies. He will try to donate it. We have money to pay for it in our budget. He's a business. He's a great guy. He donates wreaths all over the place. He does it to the town all the time, and he usually gets away with it. But try to make him get paid. This is delivered to the Darien Police Station and must be transported across the street to the platform prior to the ceremony. The state of Connecticut also supplies a wreath to the ceremony. That comes from a local florist. These wreaths are ceremoniously placed at the memorial by the first selectman and the grand marshal with the assistance of one of the commissioners. Commissioner is usually on the other side and receives the wreath and then places it in. 8A, be sure to have a proper publicity for the grand marshal and speaker in the media, according to their media deadlines. The media has deadlines, you know, you have to adhere to them. They can get it up online, but you know, to get it in the print media, which is where a lot of people still use it, I know that's arcane, but they still do, we want to have it in on time. This will require some writing on the part of a commission member. We would like to have this out at least 2 weeks before the ceremony. A reminder can always be published closer to the date. Check your facts again. And here's the deal. The papers in town are the online and hard copy papers are very good about this. When we send it in, they seem to decide on their own to put it in again the next week, which is fantastic. All right, and that's the kind of people we have running these organizations. You know, they're good about it. They know we need that publicity. Monuments and Ceremonies Commission always places an ad in the Memorial Day supplement in support of our veterans. This is done through the Darien Times because that's where the Memorial Day supplement is. Used to be Lauren Spicehandler who did that, but there's a new girl who is a woman who has taken her position, and Lauren has moved up. So, but you will be contacted. Sometimes I'm contacted because I was the last point of contact, and it's like $85. We have a quorum here, so do we okay it again for this year? I make a motion we do. Seconded by Jim Long. All in favor? Okay, done. So when that happens, when it comes, it just gets done now. Contact post 6933 of the VFW to have their honor guard available to fire the military salute. And the contact over there is usually Scott Vanderheiden or Lenny Hunter. Contact the Darien High School band to obtain at least one bugler to play taps. If they have two available to play echo taps, all the better. And they've done that for certain years. They've had that. It's nice. Bunting and all other supplies must be retrieved from a Darien Town Hall basement. Now, you may want to write on the side there. This includes 2 sets of flags. Connecticut flag and the United States standard. With their bases and the eagle tops. So 3 pieces. The eagle top, the flags are in leather in cases, and then we need the stand that they go into. They're all there. We have like 4 sets of them. So we need 2 sets of those. One for the reviewing stand, one for up at the platform. Be sure the commissioners are aware that they have the responsibility of draping the platform with the red, white, and blue bunting prior to the parade. In with the bunting are various size zip ties. That's how we do it. And when you finish, you just snip them off. So that's how they get attached to the railing. This usually occurs on Memorial Day at 7:30 or at 8 o'clock a.m. so that the commissioners can get to the parade staging area to assist with the parade. And it's done, it's over, it's done there. Contact the director of the Darien Library to secure the Darien Library facility for emergency use if there is inclement weather, which would preclude our use of the cemetery platform. Commissioners should remain after the ceremony to remove the bunting, repack it, and remove it from the cemetery for return to Town Hall on the next day. And that also includes the flags down on the post road and the flags up on the platform. They get taken apart, and all that stuff gets tucked in somebody's car. And,
Usually ours.
Yeah, and it's brought back the next day, or during the week, the next week. There's no problem as far as that goes. Chairs for the platform and also for the reviewing stand have been obtained from either the Scouts or the Norotan Fire Department. Ascertain which group, probably Scouts, will bring them to the platform and pick them up later. Now, Terry, I'm going to defer to you on that. What has been the case the last couple of years? What is done with that, with the chairs for the platform?
Alan and I figured out, we've gotten, I think it was you came with me to the Boy Scouts, but was it last year we ended up with double chairs?
Yeah.
The chief at Norotan was not an email guy.
Not an email guy.
So we didn't get confirmation from him, so we got chairs from the Boy Scouts, and we got down there with them, and there were chairs at the platform, because they got it done. It's just, the communicate, we have the spare tire in the trunk if things go wrong.
Well, actually, if that's a concern this year, I will contact Gary Plank, because he reads his emails. Because I always confirm about the bell, and he says it'll be taken care of.
Yeah, but Gary's at the Heights.
Yeah, oh, you do, this is.
We've gotten the chairs from Norotan, not Norotan
No
Heights.
contact.
Yeah, in the road fire department.
I'm sorry, missed the Heights.
But I know now, after that, to call them by phone rather than email.
Okay, that's good to know. I mean, you only know that if you've gone through this and done the drill. So, that's for the chairs. Number 15, as a matter of flag protocol, the U.S. flag is to be lowered to half-staff until 12 noon, at which point after the ceremony is run back up the pole to the top. And usually the police department, who takes care of that flagpole, has it already at half-staff. It's just a question at the end of the ceremony, you walk over, you untie it, and you zip it up. Okay, you run it up to the top. The program for the event, which is the one that I attached here next. Program for the event should be prepared as soon as possible, and 125 copies should be made as per the attached example, or a design decided upon by the commission. It does not have to be the way it is there. All right? These are to be handed out prior to the event as people file into the venue. Usually grab a couple of scouts or some of us stand around and hand them out to the people as they come up into the venue. Work closely with the Darien Police Department on security and traffic around the event site. They are tremendously vigilant. They usually sweep the area, and then they're ever vigilant after that. They've always been great on that. And this is not their first rodeo. They know what to do. This is key. Number 18, invite all local politicians, town, state, and federal to attend and sit on the dais with the commissioners. Notice I said with the commissioners. The commissioners are asked to, if they so desire, sit on the dais with everybody else, because you are the commissioners. You run this thing. And also the selectmen and other invited guests. Also invite all fire chiefs of the 3 Darien fire departments, the police chief, and representatives from Darien Post 53 to sit on the dais, so at least invite them. This can be done through Linda and Karen in the selectman's office. These include, of course, the clergy, speaker, and grand marshal. They're all sitting up there, and any other invited guests. And number 19 is very important. The most important people outside of our commission who will have an impact on our parade and ceremony are Linda O'Leary and Karen Dunn in the First Selectman's office. They do all the work to obtain all the insurance, riders, and permissions for use of the area in front of Nielsen's for the reviewing stand, the use of the Goodwife Shopping Center, parking for staging the parade, the flyover for the Connecticut Air National Guard, and 100 other details that we should be forever thankful for. We've bundled all that stuff over the years into something that they can do out of that office, and once we trigger that, which Terry and I have done, they just run with it, and they do it, and they keep us in contact with us back and forth all the way along. So that's how that gets done. It doesn't just happen, it happens because somebody sticks with it, and they're the ones that do it. Obtain a case at least of water for distribution on the reviewing stand and the cemetery platform. It can get hot. And there are also 4 donated umbrellas stored downstairs in the town hall basement for our use, should it be a drizzly day or something, somebody need one.
Or even a hot day.
Even on a hot day, yes. Check and recheck until the event is over. Never assume anything, never, unless you have checked it yourself. Now, the decision to have the parade or not in place of inclement weather is made by the parade chairman and the first selectman. That's who calls that. The decision to move the ceremony to the library will be made by the Memorial Day ceremony chair and the first selectman. And I must say that we have infrequently had to do that, but when we did, even the couple of times we did, I think we marched out of there over to the cemetery to place the wreaths anyway.
We did because it was sunny by then.
Right, it was sunny by then. So in case I missed anything, feel free to chime in. Well, you know that I didn't cover everything in that. There's probably something that I missed. You know, but that's basically your manual for delivery to do the ceremony. And you've got the copy of the Memorial Day program right there.
Remember,
Jamie-
it's got two sides.
Yeah, it's got two sides. Jamie does have a copy of the Darien Roll of Honor, but it doesn't hurt to make sure she has one in her hand. When she does it, Jamie does a remarkable job of pronouncing all the names correctly and such, which is no mean feat when you look at some of the names on here. And that pretty much covers getting ready for the cemetery program. The cemetery program, we have a microphone up on top on the lectern. It's very easy to get that to project. We just have to get hold of a speaker for the cemetery ceremony and also by the next meeting.
Who sets up the microphone in the light?
The microphone is set up by Chris Andrade. Yeah, he does, he brings that and we pay him, right? We pay him for that, yeah, okay.
He's usually here before we are. I mean, he's on the ball.
Oh, yeah, he's there with his son, they're there setting up, okay. So that's pretty much the Memorial Day overview and preparedness. Now, I want to mention something else here as we move along. About 2 weeks ago, I got a memo from the First Selectman's office, and that memo said that we must have a email address on file. That is a town email address, so that if somebody goes to the website, they can contact Monuments and Ceremonies, and it goes to an email address, and then we can look in there. And I said, fine, no problem. I don't use Outlook, okay, but it's on Outlook. How many people use Outlook? Anybody use Outlook here? That's what the town hall is on. So I have the email address. I have the temporary password. I have the location of that, of where you go to find it, the HTTP, okay? And within about 3 days, I got a phone call from the town hall that said that somebody had made a query into the to that email address already because it was active. And I said, okay. So she forwarded me what it was. What it was apparently there was a monument, a memorial, and you may know about this one, all right? I don't know, I didn't. There is a memorial, a small memorial, on the Middlesex Middle School grounds, up by one of the playing fields, the north playing field, and northeast corner or something, whatever. And there was a small memorial there with a small stone memorial, and on it used to be a bronze plaque. Well, you can see the 4 holes where the plaque used to be. And so I said, no, I had no idea about it. I said, who was it for? And the person who wrote back to me, Mike Lynch from Darien Schools, said he was going to show it to somebody and it was gone.
It was gone.
So I said, well, to be perfectly honest with you, I had no idea that it existed. However, we have hundreds of little minuscule monuments in town, and it may have been one that passed me by. I said, who was it for? And I wanted to know whether it was a soldier. He said, no, it was a Revolutionary War era person. And so I spoke to a couple of the old timers in town today, and I also spoke to some of the young timers in town, like Karen Diller in the office. And she told me that it was a Revolutionary War, apparently, child. Okay, that's who it was there. And the other people in town remembered it too. I don't know whether that was moved, and there was a question of whether it had been moved there or what happened, how it had gotten there. Okay, but I said, well, I'll go over and take a look. I'll go over and see what it looks like and stuff and everything, and then I'll start going through our files and see if we ever had any mention of it.
Yeah.
You know, because I don't recall it. All right, but you know, that was a farm, and I guess they buried people on their property and stuff, and that was it. You know, they used to do this. So
I thought it was interesting.
I thought it was interesting, you know, and he sent me a picture of it, and I can shoot it out to you so you guys can all take a look at it. It's just interesting.
What's
I never-
interesting is that somebody would steal it.
Yeah, they take
There's
these
4
things.
holes. You
You
can
can
see
see
where
the
it
4
was,
holes
the marker.
in the picture where they took it, you know, which is weird. But anyway, that's where that stands. So that email address is active. Now, if there's anybody who wants to monitor that email address, everybody want to raise their hand? You want to monitor that?
Sure.
I'll give you all the information and the temporary password, and then what you have to do is apparently change the password.
Okay.
And then let people know
Everybody know?
what the change is, so that they want to click on it, because
Oh,
they
so
might want to
we
go
will do
back.
that.
Yeah, okay, I will shoot that information to you after when I get home tonight, because I don't frequently go on anything like that, that's not my own stuff. Okay, quickly, the Memorial Day program, you can take a look at that real quick. The back of it has all the war dead. The front is just set up basically in
Has
the order in
live-
which
has
you
the
do
live-
everything.
Live, the front has the live, the back has the dead.
Right, the front of the live, the back has the dead.
So live that you stay on the front.
Right, and you can see the flow of what we do there. The invocation's usually given first, I make some brief introductions, and then we do the Pledge of Allegiance led by the Grand Marshal, and then it just flows from there. So, that pretty much concludes my little dissertation on the ceremony. Any questions on that anybody has for me? I will unfortunately not be available, and
Because that is our daughter's 40th birthday.
right, that weekend and all that stuff,
And
so.
we will be in Rapid City. I
Yeah,
hope.
hopefully, so, but, anyway, that's the way it goes there. Trying to think if there was anything else that I had before we just get into membership. Now, as far as Monuments and Ceremonies membership, I have, from so one of my sources here has mentioned that there is somebody who has expressed an interest on the Republican side at the RTC, for the RTC. We'll see how that comes to fruition. That would be good to add people here. We are down to 11, we need 15. I don't know what one of our members' situation is going to be, Raleigh. So we have to fill in those spaces, get some more people, get in these slots. I do know of one of the guys, one fellow who was expressing an interest also on the Democratic side. So I believe that's at least 2 that might be in the pipeline. I'm hoping. Okay, so we can, as people leave, we can get more back in here, and then you can, move ahead with a full complement, which would be great to have it. So we're still looking for people. I feel like Red Fox on that show.
Did you see-
And he looks up and he goes,
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth.
That's all right.
This is the big one, all right? But we still need people. I keep looking up there like, we still
Did you
need
see it
people.
was in the front page of the Darien
Yes.
Times that we needed people because
Yeah.
Sandra Fox called and I told her the history.
That's good.
Yeah, she did a good job on that.
Yes.
She
That
she
was
put
nice.
the plea out there. I mean, I don't know how much more we can do. I did speak before the Darien, I was gonna call them the senior men, oh my God. The Darien Men's Association, they're not seniors,
The old
just
guys.
men, that's all. So the DMA, I did speak before the DMA, we didn't get much from that, but, I don't know what other groups we could reach out to as a group to do it, because a lot of times if you're going to a group, they're already volunteering for that group, they're not gonna be volunteering for another thing, So anyway, if anybody knows anybody's got the slightest interest, talk it up to them and get them involved.
Perhaps Alan,
Yeah,
he's done with the bicentennial.
well, I don't know. We'll
I've
see.
asked him.
He's not done yet. He's not done
I've asked
until
him
October
about 3
24th.
times.
Yeah, he's got plenty of stuff to do. So here's what I will propose. We have to replace, you have to replace me as chairman, and you have to replace Karen as secretary at the minimum. Other people may want to be replaced too. I don't know. I hope not. So my suggestion is that anybody who has an interest in holding these positions, let's get your name to Karen so that we can then circulate it among ourselves, and when we walk in here in March, that we can do something about it. We can make a change at
And
that
vote.
point and vote. Yeah, okay. We really should. We need the continuity of moving ahead with somebody in place.
I think if you look at Robert's Rules of Orders,
Mhm.
I suspect
follow
that
those?
it was supposed to, yes. If my Swiss cheese
2
memory.
weeks ahead?
I'm looking at the cheese, not the holes, but I believe that it's 10 days in advance notice of anyone who has submitted their name or anybody whose name has been recommended by the chair. And it should be put out to everybody a minimum of 10 days before that meeting to be prepared to vote and to solicit in writing anyone else who has any.
Okay, so we can do that, we can post that in
So
front. That-
anyone who's interested in being secretary or chairman, please write to me and let me know that you're interested, so that, but I should put
And
it
also,
on-
and also anybody who wants to retain their position, okay, in what you're doing, okay, because.
We'll vote for the slate.
Yeah, and then, and I will then first circulate it to, among the group, and then, as you said, 10 days before, I will have it posted in the front, in the main hall, where everything else, where all the official notices are posted, meeting cancellations and everything else. All right, that should satisfy that.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll do it that way. Thank you for that. Is there anything else that has to come before the group today? Is everybody feeling well, I hope, besides Terry?
I wrote a book.
He does not have coronavirus, you know?
Good.
But, yeah, I'll tell you, we're moving along, we are organized enough to get this done without a problem. If everybody just pulls along with us a little bit, we'll be all in good shape here. If anybody else has any other sources, resources that they think they might be valuable for us to put up on the website, you know, bring them up at the meetings and stuff, so we can see whether, because we can always link it there. I went to some of the other commissions and stuff, and I didn't see much there and everything else, but we're a pretty well-known group in town, okay? You know, somebody once said to me recently, you know, it's tough to get somebody to go on your commission. I said, why? They said, because you do stuff. What do you mean by that? He says, well, you don't just go to a meeting and have a meeting and walk away and meet in another month. You do stuff. You have stuff to do during the year. And I said, well, I can appreciate that. I understand that. People may not have the time to do all this, but it's a good thing to do for your town. So, all right. If there's nothing else to come before the group, I will
We'll
entertain.
do a Carabello.
Well, I will entertain a motion, a Carabello, in memory of Ed.
Well, you have to explain to Loren.
Oh, you have to,
Carabello.
you know that? Okay, so
Oh.
Ed Carabello was one of our members. He was a great guy, awesome guy. He was in the 82nd Airborne in World War II,
Korea.
and he was
killed in a car crash.
He was killed in a car crash a couple of years ago. He had not been on the commission for about a year that time, but when Ed was a member of the group, as soon as the chair would say, I'll entertain, Ed was up. And it was so cool, because, so after a while, we called it a Carabello. Okay, so he's memorialized, he'll never be forgotten.
He had a motion to adjourn.
Yeah, so the motion to adjourn came from Jim Long, and the second was
Second.
Terry. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And I thank you all for coming. Thank you, Rob, for calling in.
No problem, thank you.
All right, take care, guy. All right, and we're done.